All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever felt just stuck? Like you're running the same plays over and over, hitting the same walls, and getting the exact same frustrating results? Especially when what you're really looking for is just a little bit of peace or a real solution to a nagging problem. Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens. And here's the hint. The map you're using to find your way might just be the problem itself. This question, right here, is the absolute heart of what we're talking about. It's not just some philosophical musings. It is a direct challenge to all those patterns that keep us trapped. It's asking us to stop staring at the destination and start looking really hard at the road we're taking to get there. And there it is. This is the core issue in a nutshell. We act as if the world, our life, our problems, our own internal landscape is completely static, but it's not. The territory is always changing, and that old map, the one that maybe worked for you a year ago or even yesterday, it's now the very thing leading you in circles.
Now look, this isn't just you. It's not some personal failing. There's actually a systemic, almost scientific reason we all get stuck like this. It's a phenomenon that's been observed in massive, complex systems, and it has a name: the rear-view mirror problem.
Just think about that for a second. Imagine you're trying to navigate a winding, unpredictable road up ahead by only looking in your rear-view mirror at the straight, simple path you just left behind. It's more than just a bad habit. It's a kind of neurotic fixation on history, on what was, instead of actually engaging with the dynamic, messy reality of what is, right now.
And I want to be clear, this isn't just a clever metaphor. A brilliant cyberneticist named Stafford Beer studied this exact problem in huge, complex organizations. We're talking governments like the UK and the US. He found hard, empirical evidence that these massive systems were constantly making critical decisions based on information that was already wildly out of date.
And get this, Beer actually put a number on it. He demonstrated that these major systems were operating, on average, a full 6 months behind reality. 6 months! Can you imagine trying to solve a crisis that's happening today with information from half a year ago? It's doomed from the start. And this leads to a really stark, almost brutal conclusion from Beer himself. He just said it flat out. That's why nothing works. When you're perpetually 6 months out of sync with reality, your solutions are practically guaranteed to fail. It explains that feeling we all know so well, whether we're looking at politics or our own lives, that sense that no matter how hard we try, nothing ever seems to change. Okay, so that's the what. We know what happens systemically. But why? Why on earth do we do it? Let's pivot now from the science to the psychology of stagnation. Why do we cling so tightly to these failing maps when we know they don't work? This gets to the absolute core of it. It introduces this idea of the fool as a metaphor for that part of us, that part of our personality, that actually prefers the comfort of a familiar problem over the absolute terror of an unknown solution. Stagnation, which is really just a kind of slow death, starts to feel safer than change. You see, for that neurotic part of us, the real enemy isn't the suffering itself, it's change. It would rather greet that familiar pain like an old friend pulling up a chair than risk trying something new and unknown. That failed method, as agonizing as it is, feels safe simply because it's predictable.
And that is the devastating trap. That feeling of comfort is a lie. The old method, that old friend, eventually becomes the very threat you're trying to find peace from. The system, whether it's a person or a government, begins to attack itself, all while telling itself it's just trying to stay safe.
So, how in the world do we break out of this cycle? This brings us to the real turning point, a core intellectual challenge that forces a radical shift in how we think. It's called the unknowing paradox. Now listen to that again. You can't know things until you've tried to unknow all things. It's a total paradox, right? Our instinct is always to learn more, gather more data to try and figure out the perfect solution. But this suggests the exact opposite. The only way forward is to let go of what you're so sure you already know.
So why is that so incredibly hard? Because our ego, that part of us that needs to be in control, is absolutely terrified of losing its knowledge. That desperate need to understand, to have it all mapped out, is precisely the thing that prevents a new, real solution from ever showing up. Peace literally dissolves the moment we try to grab it and define it with our old, worn-out intellectual tools.
So here's how you can actually put this into practice. It's a simple 3-step process. First, identify a truth you hold about your problem. Something like,
I need total silence to ever feel calm. Okay, step 2, consciously challenge it. Ask yourself, what if? What if I could actually find peace in the middle of chaos? And then step 3, and this is the hardest one, you have to release the need to figure it out. Just let go of finding the answer, create the space, and a new pattern might just emerge on its own.
When you finally let go of that old map and you release that desperate need for a new one, you open yourself up to the real resolution. And it's not about finding a better path on the same old map, it's about accessing a whole new dimension of what's possible. So what in the world is a hyperbolic leap? Okay, think of it this way. If your old, failing method is like living in one tiny, familiar room, this leap is the moment you realize you're not in a room at all. You're in an infinite mansion. It's a jump into a vast, open space that contains solutions and forms of peace you literally can't even imagine from inside that cramped little room. So what does this radical shift actually look like? Well, first, you have to surrender the map, throw away that rearview mirror. Then you embrace what we call fluid unknowing. You let go of needing to figure it all out. You shift your entire stance from one of force and control to one of curiosity and acceptance. You stop being a rigid map reader and you become a fluid, adaptable navigator. And this, right here, just captures the goal perfectly. Peace isn't some fixed destination you arrive at with the perfect map. It's a skill. It's the dynamic ability to navigate a reality that is constantly shifting and flowing, a superfluid. It's about becoming as fluid and adaptable as life itself. And so we end right back where we started, with a question for you. I want you to really think about the struggles in your own life. Are you spending all of your energy defending a map that you know deep down no longer works? Or are you brave enough to finally put it down, face the unknown, and learn to navigate the territory as it truly is?